If you're someone who's been told you weren't good enough, not big enough, not fast enough, not smart enough, or if you've ever felt paralyzed by a failure you just weren't willing to accept, this is the show for you. Hustle and Motivate is a blueprint built by guests who've overcome obstacles, silenced critics, and overcome adversity by seeing every failure as an opportunity, realizing the true power of the underdog mentality. This is Tyler O'Shea, and you're listening to Hustle and Motivate. LeRon Barton grew up with a stutter. His classmates teased him so much that he was afraid to even speak. Then, when he got to college, new hurdles came in the form of job interviews and dating. But over time, LeRon decided he wasn't going to let his speech impediment stop him from living his life. Since then, he's appeared on over 50 podcasts, been a guest on Jazeera, and given a TEDx talk at Wilson Park. What's amazing about LeRon is that he faces his fears every single day, and I hope that through our conversation, you'll be inspired to do the same. Here is LeRon L. Barton. For those who don't know, what is a stutter? Like, what's the science behind it?
Okay, so the National Institute of Deafness and Communication Disorders defines a stutter as a speech impediment. It's sort of a blocking of language. So when you attempt to talk, you sort of struggle with sort of getting the word out. You stammer, which essentially means you repeat the same word over and over, or like repeat part of the word over and over and over, and it's almost a struggle. Well, it's not almost. It is a struggle to really get that out. And over 70 million people worldwide have a stutter. That's about 1% of the population. And, at this time, there's no cure for it.
Wow. So what's the earliest time you remember having trouble with your stutter?
Man, it's probably when I was like 5 or 6 or so. I'm 40, so I've pretty much been stuttering my entire life.
So what are some of the hurdles, the challenges that came up in school and growing up?
Just really, communication, really. Being able to say, hi, my name is LeRon, being able to speak up in class, talk to kids. When that happens, that affects your confidence. And when that affects your confidence, you're very reluctant and you're very hesitant to speak up. And unfortunately, man, the sad thing about that is Tyler, is that you can kind of become withdrawn. Mm-hmm. and that it just kind of just affects who you are. And of course, kids being kids, children not really understanding stutters, kids can be mean. Mm-hmm. I was teased. It was, come on, spit it out. What? It's just it's definitely made me have thicker skin, and it's made my resolve and my determination that much stronger.
And how did you grow your confidence over time? Was it through eventually writing and speaking and stuff like that, or did it happen earlier?
I guess I didn't really become a confident dude until my 20s. That's when I just kind of just really started to realize, okay, you know what? I'm LeRon Barton. I've done these certain things. I can do these certain things, and I will do certain things. And so I just, something like that my mother said is self-doubt has no place in your mind, right? So because of that, I just decided to just, not really worry about, what people, think and or say about me. It's easier said than done. Everyone in some modicum cares about what cares about what others think. Mm-hmm. But for me, man, I was just like, look, I'm not gonna let this stop me from accomplishing my goals. And you just have to just sort of have a tunnel vision, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that's how that sort of came about.
And then what about in college? I know you mentioned in your TEDx talk about dating, job interviews, and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, so it's funny, Tyler, because like my starter would sort of come and go. And I say about like late 20s, early 30s, that's when it just sort of just decided to just take up space and it's like, I'm not really going anywhere. So, and in college, man, I mean, you have to give presentations. So, I'm getting up there and I'm like, okay, let's just not mess this up. And I was so, concerned about that. And then, with dating, like asking a girl out, guys try to be smooth, but sometimes it just wasn't like that. So, that was a bit of a difficulty. And so, again, man, I mean, like, those things can be considered setbacks, but I just kind of just took it as fuel to just sort of, okay, so, I didn't make that, I didn't make that basket, let me try to shoot again. I mean, it's like, I always think of myself as a person, as a kid standing in front of a basketball hoop and where, I'm just shooting. And, my grandfather, he would always say, the law of averages. And it's like, what that meant to me was that, what I took that to mean, I'm sorry, is that, if you keep shooting, then more than likely the ball's going to go in. Right.
Yeah.
So you just have to just like keep moving. And that's really been my, a lot of the story of my life, man. Tyler, is just keep going.
Yeah, it's like they say in basketball, like you were just saying, shoot or shoot.
Man, I mean, dude, like my brother and I, we talk basketball a lot, and so one of his favorite players is Kobe Bryant, and he told me a story. It's like, well, someone asked Kobe, like, well, what if you have the ball? And Kobe said, shoot the ball. Like, so it's like I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, you have to continue to try. I mean, no one jumps off the porch and is great. I mean, look, like this is like a little funny thing, but like as a kid, we attempt to ride a bike and the first time, you fall, I've never heard of anyone saying, this bike riding thing, this ain't for me. So, I mean, it's like, you keep pedaling. I mean, it's falling and failing is a part of the journey, to quote Kobe Bryant again, like, he had said failure is exciting to him because he gets to go back, reassess things and figure out, oh, okay, I should have done this, but I did this, and in the future, and just sort of implement improvements. And that's how you go on.
Mm-hmm. And I know you eventually became a writer, and
yes.
You mentioned that in your TEDx speech that you're a great writer and you love doing it, but you also felt like you were kind of hiding from your fear of speaking. How'd you get past that?
That's a really good question. So my favorite thing to do in the entire world is write. I'm a writer. That's what I do. That's the best thing that I do. That's my favorite thing to do. I just felt that it was at one point in my life, I was, hiding behind a pen, hiding behind the computer screen. And I just was like, well, if I say this, then I don't have to get up and speak. And It was one of those things that I just came to the realization that, okay, I'm going to stutter. That's fine. It's nothing wrong with it. It's a disability of mine. Let me just keep moving. Like, so I realized that I cannot be a prisoner, as I said in my speech, I cannot be a prisoner to fear. And Tyler, the thing was, man, like I was worrying about stuttering more than I was actually stuttering. Right. So it's like, going back to sports. Right. So, you either play to win or you play to not lose. Right. And so when you are doing that, you don't like, you're so concentrating on not losing this game that you're actually not running towards victory. And so I was just so concerned with looking a certain way that I just decided, you know what, I'm going to just, I'm just gonna say screw it, and I'm just gonna talk. And and if I stutter, big deal. Hey, you know what? It's a part of me. It's a small part of who I am. Let me just keep moving.
Exactly, and I think that's with all of us. We're all guilty of thinking that things are more significant than they are. Like especially,
Absolutely.
like it's very self-conscious. So, people really don't care at the end of the day.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's like with dating, I mean, dude, like, does she really care about those jeans you have on? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, yo, I'm just like, yo, like for real. I mean, it's like, is she really like, that concerned about the kind of money that you make? And if she is, then like maybe you need to reassess. Is that the kind of person that we need to be with?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just real, man. I mean, it's as you said, like we spend so much time worrying about insignificant things, and it really and not saying that a stutter is not significant, because it's a part of our life, but at the same time, we just become so wrapped up in it. And so I just wanted, the whole goal of the TEDx speech, Tyler, was that I wanted people to know that just because you have something, just because you've been defeated, or just because you sort of have a hardship, that doesn't mean that you can't go on and accomplish your goals. I mean, dude, I have a stutter, and I did a TEDx, and it's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, so if I can do it, anyone can do it. I mean, if a clear speaking person, or as they say, a fluent person, forget about it. Like, you can do this.
Mm-hmm. So take me through how your speaking career kind of developed from there.
So what's crazy is like, I had been sort of doing like little, like, appearances here and there, but it wasn't until the TEDx that it wasn't that I became in demand, Tyler. It's just that I saw the response from people, saying, "Oh my God, this is so great. This is so great." And that's when I realized that I could do it, and so that's when I started to pursue this myself. That's when I realized that, okay, I have a knack. I have a knack with this. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel confident enough to, start to look for other speaking opportunities. And, it just kind of goes back to just self-confidence. Like, I mean, I like to think that I'm a pretty confident guy, because, I'm LeRon Barton, and I mean, I know where I've came from. I know what I can do, and that's what it is.
And it's amazing because you went from that kid in elementary school who's getting teased for his stutter, and now you've given speeches all across the nation.
Exactly.
What do you want your audience to take away from you and the example you're setting?
To never give up, man. To realize that it's, to quote Dr. Dre, like hard work beats talent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a network engineer as well. I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty decent, but I've had to work hard because I don't have a natural aptitude for it.
Mm-hmm.
Writing just comes naturally. So I'm able to do it. But, you have to sort of put the time in, like, you gotta get the grind. I mean, it's hard, and it's very tedious to just sit here and to just, send people your TEDx, send people a pitch for a story. It takes a lot of time, but the effort that you put in will determine how far you go, especially for your talent, man. I mean, you've got to constantly refine it. You have to have a good editor. You have to have great people in your corner that will tell you and that will keep it funky with you and say, yeah, this ain't it. how about we try this, you know? But I mean, but just to have be a very driven and just a goal oriented person. Like, this isn't for people who don't possess those things, because if you don't possess those things, then you won't really get far.
And you mentioned in your speech that, you know, we all have that one thing that's made us want to quit. And I think it was a Will Smith saying that he's like, the best things in life are on the other side of fear.
100%, man.
What advice do you have to people who have their own struggles or who are facing their fears?
You know, man, as someone who faces his fears every single day, see, look, like I'm not on the other side. I mean, like, you know, I'm not, you know, like 100%, on the golden mountain, whatever you want to call it. I'm in the trenches grinding myself. So I can tell you that I'm working alongside of you. I would say that, you know, there's a speech that I'm developing where I say, it's okay to be afraid. You know, being scared is natural. Through fear, we ride out and become better than ever. So what I'm saying is that through fear, once we sort of get past that, because look, you know, what's the worst thing that can happen? You know, my ladies, you know, my lady and my other friend, they're always saying, send that email, you know, the power of ask. And it's just simply like, look, you know, if you send that email and if they turn you down, okay, cool. You know what? What's the worst thing? Nothing. You're right. You're right where you started. You know, I mean, and it's nothing wrong with just asking. You know, ask somebody. If they turn down, cool. All right, go to the next person. I mean, just being afraid is okay, because I'm afraid to do things all the time. But the difference between me now and me then is like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And you know, and if I fail, okay, big deal. That isn't the first time that I failed. That won't be the last time that I failed. So let me tell you like a quick little story.
Sure.
I applied for a TEDx to do another TEDx at this really prestigious place, and I was rejected. And you know, I was really, you know, man, like I was really crushed. And so, you know, I went home, you know, watched some Kobe Bryant videos about, you know, about overcoming rejection. Because I mean, look, you know, he is an incredibly driven, just very, very, very inspirational dude for me. You know, was never a Lakers fan, but when I hear him talk about his work ethic and how he gets beyond challenges, I'll listen. So I gave myself time to be disappointed, to be sad. And then like the next afternoon, I just got back on it, and I just brushed it off. I think it's important that we allow ourselves time for disappointment, right? You know, because like a lot of people say, oh man, you know, don't worry about it, just brush it off and just, you know, keep moving. That's not being human. You know, it's, you know, it's okay. You know, it's okay to be down, man. I mean, it's like, you know, look, I mean, I really wanted that TEDx. It didn't happen. I was sad for about a half a day, and then I moved on. Gosh, you know, we're just gonna keep talking about sports here, but like, I think about like, you know, like LeBron James has been to how many finals? 9. I think it's like 8. It's like 8 finals, like 1, 3. I mean, just think about like how many times that man has been crushed and crushed and crushed. You like Jerry West has been in 9 finals and won 1 championship. Like you have to think about like, okay, if these guys can be on like the most grand stage in, probably with the exception of the Super Bowl and the World Cup, in all of professional sports, and lose and keep coming back, that's what makes champions. That's what hardens you. That's what hardens you up, man. I mean, like, it's one of, I remember seeing this meme where this person was, this meme showing like this person picking rocks in this cave. And on the other side of the cave was like the prize. And yet the person is just sort of just like picking rocks. And I took that to mean that just keep going. Like, you can't, you can't give up. So I would just tell people, hey, you know what, you've been knocked down. That's great. Take some time to lick your wounds. If you need to, take as much time as you need, but get up and continue.
There's some awesome, like really insightful nuggets in this conversation that you've shared. And obviously you're living it every day, which is awesome.
Right, exactly, man. Every day, man. I mean, too, like, I gave a talk last week, man, and I was stuttering, but I just said, look, like, I'm just gonna keep it moving, man. I mean, and people loved it. And that's the thing. It's like, you can't be afraid. Like, before I give a talk, I just take a deep breath, man. And I just like, I have a ritual. I'm sorry, Tyler, check it out. So I listen to, you ever heard, I'm pretty sure you know of the musical Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
So I listen to my Shot, and then I listen to Queen's Don't Stop Me Now. And then I just take a deep breath, man, and I just start to talk. Like,
that's awesome.
Because that kind of gets me up. And
yeah,
what's really important, man, is like after everything's done, I'll do sort of a analysis of how the talk went. What can I do in the future to improve it? Because I'm always looking to improve this. So yeah, and we just go on to the next one.
That's awesome stuff. Do you want to tell people where they can find you and book you to speak?
Yes, sir. My name is LeRon L. Barton. You can find me at LeRonBarton.com. I'm available on Twitter at Mainline LeRon. I have a professional writing page on Facebook, facebook.com/LeRon L. Barton. And I am on Instagram at LeRon L. Barton. Man, I'm always looking to talk to people, to have good dialogue, no nasty grams, and just Tyler, this has been a great talk, man. I really appreciate you allowing me to be a guest on your platform, man. And this is this was a really good interview.
Thank you, man. The pleasure's all mine. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. If this conversation added any value to your life or taught you something new or helped you think about things a little bit differently, you don't have to subscribe. You don't have to leave a review. All I ask is that you just tell one friend. We don't care about the numbers. We don't care about the stats and all that stuff. What we do care about is impacting lives. And by telling someone about the show, you're helping us do that. So thanks for tuning in. And remember, Hustle and Motivate is brought to you by JokerMag.com, the home of the underdog.